People need to get better at naming themselves.
Yes, I agree. We were having a conversation about this yesterday. There was a lovely Eggy team on US, which we do love as casters.
They're
because of course
Horde.
we can say so much. So there's so many news, there's so many firsts. We have Not Well Played representing Russia on that
And the
Horde. I
Horde.
do love this team already, but as expected, TROUBLEM running that Ret Hunter Disc Priest. This is going to be quite an uphill struggle, I think, for the Russians, but we'll have to see how they do.
Yeah, we can see Stank the Rogue popping his Adrenaline Rush very early on. He's looking for a lot of burst over onto Tana, the Ret Paladin. Unfortunately, though, they do not get a CC chain on Flux. It looks like they're just going for raw damage, now using that blind on Flux. Flux actually decided to trinket. I feel like a bop would have been a better move. I guess Tana wants to keep them aggressively to break out of stuns. Looks like they're trying to bring some pressure over onto the Mage Saint line here in the center of the map. That pain suppression from Icy deflected a lot of the damage, though, but they've connected the full trap. How are they going to deal with the situation? This is easily going to be a block. He's dipping very low, barely getting his Ice Block in time, but Flux goes for the Master Spell. He got the Ice Block off in the nick of time. Stank was not able to silence that Master Spell. Fortunately, though, Icy picked up his mage, or her mage, very quickly. We see a Deep Freeze on Flux. Saint line looking for a sheep, not able to get it, gets the Frost Jaw instead. Flux removes that with the Gnome Racial very quickly, though. I actually like that they're playing Horde, so they'll be able to use that Will of the Forsaken to break out of Flux's fears. I think it's a smart choice.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Flux, therefore, has not really been pushing for the Fizz, so the CC chains from TROUBLEM haven't been quite as long, but we have seen another trap landing from Pancake. At the same time, Tana taking a lot of damage, so he needs to be a bit careful. Flux pushing in for that fear. Will we see the Will? The Will does come out for the Priest of Not Well Played, but Saint line on that mage taking so much damage. The full Hodge. This could well be the second block. Crow is connecting, but the kidney to peel. Tana taking a lot of damage as well. The pain suppression does come out. His freedom, he's trying to kite away a little bit, but Saint line importantly holds on to that block, and they still have cooldowns available.
Yeah, Saint line and Tana basically have Bubble and Ice Block as their last line of defense for a few more seconds moving forward. It looks like they're switching some pressure onto the Rogue Stank. They've actually got him down to about half HP, which means that this Discipline Priest will have to spread out her healing quite a bit. We see a cheap shot initiation out from Stank the Rogue, but no real follow-up. You really want to be the initiation for your team on that Rogue, and now going for that kidney shot, but that means that Pancake will not be CC'd, and he should be able to stop it. They preemptively silence the Deep Freeze. He trinkets the silence. He goes for the deep. He goes for the sheep. He gets it, but Tana immediately sacrifices that off. They're pulling the trigger over on the Saint line. Saint line blinks behind the pillar, but the entire team is just on top of him. Icy's doing her best to heal through the pressure. I'm curious how much longer she can do it. They switch back over onto Stank the Rogue. They've got both the Rogue and the Mage at below half HP. This Disc Priest has so much work ahead of herself.
Yeah, the Disc Priest is going to be struggling a lot, but Saint line is just cutting back. He's spamming out those sheeps, able to peel. Now the wings coming out for Tana. The kidney instantly to peel that. They do have an Ice Block available. Are they going to use it? Full block. He does connect the Ice Block. Can they get the MD trinkets? He actually, I think he was able to kick that beautiful play by Stank, but at the same time, Saint line still low, is going to fall just to the CC chain onto Icy, and Not Well Played, despite a very well played game, do fall in game one on that ground.
Yeah, it seemed like Saint line was having a hard time connecting his polymorphs. He was constantly being stopped by Pancake the Hunter, so I feel like it would have been better to polymorph Pancake, then go for your Deep Freeze. That's usually the standard setup for a mage when you're initiating CC by yourself, is you polymorph one DPS, Deep Freeze the healer. That stops the DPS from stopping you, and he'll be able to get CC guaranteed. He didn't do that, so Pancake was able to stop almost all of the setups, and it put them so far behind. So I really want to see Saint line go for that play instead. So polymorph the Hunter, Deep Freeze healer, switch the polymorph over now onto the Priest, and do that consistently on cooldown, and I think they could turn the series around.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And like you saw, surviving, and ultimately they died through a lot of cooldowns just due to the wings of Tana. This was another example of a lot of offensive cooldowns coming out from Not Well Played. The Adrenaline Rush, the killing spree onto Tana, but the CC was never really there onto Flux, and when it was, they always had answers such as the Hand of Sack.
Did he Master Spell this Ice Block? That's what I want to know. Or did he preemptively cancel it? So right here towards the end, Saint line uses his Ice Block, and his Rogue tries to prevent the Master Spell. So that's what I'm really looking for here. So Saint line's getting lower and lower and lower. I believe that they land some CC onto the Disc Priest Icy right about now, somewhere here. There's the stun, so Saint line easily needs to block here. He goes for the block. Very soon he goes for the block, and then does Flux get the Master Spell? He's in the block. He does it. He gets blinded. He trinkets. He goes for the Master Spell. He connected right before the gouge. If that gouge was 1 second faster, that block would have sat at least for another 4 seconds. And that's all you need as a Disc Priest, is a couple extra seconds. But here we go. Game number 2, Tolvaron Arena. So the Rogue Mage Priest are picking a big map. They're trying to make it hard for this Ret Paladin team to run away. Yep,
I really like that choice because, like you say, it gives them the option to maybe run away themselves at some point. We see the wings instantly coming out from Tana, the CC. PS to answer it. I like like that choice from Icy. Saint Line should be okay. They're actually making a swap now over onto Pancake. He needs to be a little bit careful. The grip comes out, Trinket on the blind from Flux. He actually does fear Icy. She uses the Will of Forsaken on that cooldown. This is still the Crows though. They need to be very careful. Saint Line dropping very low, down to 20%. He needs to hold his Ice Block here. It would have been so good for them if they were able to hold that cooldown, but unable to do so.
Yeah, and the Mass Dispel will remove it right away. What I really like from TROUBLEM is that they split their damage on the Rogue and the Mage. You can see the Rogue's down at half HP, and eventually that health needs to be healed back. Looks like they're going for a Smoke Bomb attempt over onto Tana. They've got him down below half HP. Saint Line blinks in, goes for the Polymorph, connects that full sheep. Tana does not want to use a sacrifice here. I think it's smart to hold on to it. Trade out the bubble, hold on to the sacrifice for a little bit later. In the meantime, though, Pancake has gotten a full trap over onto Icy. Looks like they want to connect over onto Saint. He's doing a good job behind the pillar, but now he needs to rotate back to his Priest. The kiting has been really good here from Saint Line. Icy should be able to pick him up here very shortly. There's the saving grace to top him off, but in the meantime, the Rogue is still at half HP. Icy hasn't had time to heal him, and they could make a swap.
Yeah, at the same time, though, the Crow's coming out on Saint Line. He looks like he's the target of choice for now. A nice Fear coming out from Icy, though. Can they follow up with the Polymorph? They're going for it. There is that Polymorph and silence on the resheep, so well done by Flux. Of course, the sacrifice coming out to answer that from Tana. He doesn't have his bubble, doesn't have his trinket available, but Saint Line, at the same time, in a lot of trouble, does have one Ice Block available. Maybe they should just go for the trinket here. If the MD comes out, it's going to be so much trouble.
Game.
There's no trinket. Comes out really late, and I'm not sure if she's going to be able to heal through this one. He's in a lot of trouble. Regardless, Hodge will be available in about 10 seconds for TROUBLEM, and she's just going to have such a difficult time topping off the Mage, topping off the Rogue before that setup.
I can't believe that they're still in this. They're going for a Deep Freeze Polymorph, and Tana does have a sacrifice, but he goes for that Fist of Justice, and because they've kept the Rogue at such low HP, they could easily kill him as well. He's at 26%. They switch back over onto the Mage, though. Saint Line's just in the middle of the map. The Rogue is so low on HP. A full trap into a full fear. Flux has been playing very well, landing these fears almost on cooldown. Saint Line's doing everything he can, but that Avenging Wrath is going to be too much to handle. Tana is going to lay down the hammer and take game number 2.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just so difficult for them to keep the Rogue on high HP, so the Rogue could not peel Saint Line there. That is the reason he died. If Stenk had been able to get there and maybe just allowed to gouge, or like some little CC. We saw Icy get out of that CC chain at the very, very end. Unfortunately, not quite able to land the saving grace or the saving that Saint Line needed. We see Pancake and Tana just doing so much damage. Look at Tana's damage. It's been the same for every single game so far, just 1 million above the rest, or 600,000 here, maybe not quite so impressive, but Tana's able to get this really high uptime, which is one of the reasons that the Disc Priest isn't so good as the rest of Druid, because their strategy isn't quite working. They're certainly playing it fine. They're not overlapping cooldowns. They're not dying before cooldowns. They're definitely playing what their strategy is correctly. It's just that the strategy itself is not good enough. They're not able to get through the cooldowns quick enough on TROUBLEM. I'd like to see them changing up as we do go into game 3. It's Tiger's Peak.
Yep, they need to actually switched onto the Feral Mage Discipline Priest. So the Feral Druid will have Cyclone. They can kind of let their Priest stay far in the trinkets out of that CC in time to save Saint. Now they need to try and make something happen here. It looks like they're just going to hide out on the balcony, try and build up some Icicles. A little bit of damage onto Tana. They go for the Deep Freeze on Flux. They go for the Polymorph. They connect that full Polymorph. They resheep the sacrifice. Well played from Saint. They chain it into the Cyclone. Tana could be in trouble, but it seems like Saint is the one taking the brunt of it. He's down at 14%. Forced into his second Ice Block already.
Yeah, and a great job by the Feral Druid, able to eat that trap. That could have potentially been game if it had landed. Now a full fair from Flux. There's no cooldowns left on the side of not well played TROUBLEM. Looking for the kill here. Saint Line in a lot of trouble. They don't really have any follow-up CC just yet, so it looks like Icy just going to put down the Power Barrier, keep Saint Line alive for now, but they don't have a trinket for 1 minute, no blocks for over 2 minutes. Here is the full Hodge. If they land the trap, this will be game.
Yeah, it looks like Stank on the Feral Druid goes for that Incarnation, but he gets Wyvern Stung on it, and now Saint is completely alone. He's hiding behind the Tiger Tomb, but they're going to reconnect here. Stank needs to start peeling. Saint Line blinks back to the safety of his Discipline Priest on the balcony. Really amazing kiting from the Mage there. That was a very scary situation. He's going to make it out alive for now. Stank getting a really nice Cyclone over onto Tana. Flux actually tried to Mass Dispel it. I don't think he's playing the Glyph, so maybe a bit of a misplay from Flux, but here comes the stun over onto Icy, the Disc Priest. Can Pancake land the trap? He goes for the trap, I think there. He didn't actually. He does land the full trap, and now Saint Line needs needs to pull off a miracle. He's actually going aggressive. He goes for the deep freeze. He tries to get the sheep, but he doesn't get it. He goes for the Ring of Frost. He doesn't get that. He's trying to go for the sheep again, but he's just not able to get the CC off that he needs to onto Flux. And I feel like that's ultimately what's costing them the series, is that Saintline just isn't getting the polymorphs he needs to get.
Yeah, I have to agree. At the start, it certainly looks a lot better. He was landing them, but they just had sacrifices to answer it. The Feldred is providing a lot of extra support, though. The off-healing has been helping Saintline stay alive. Can they land the CC off this Hodge? Saintline again, kiting away, using that double blink. It looks like he's just able to get the pillar, but they are going to connect now with the rings. There's nothing left for Saintline. Actually reconnecting with the trinket. Beautiful play by Icy, able to keep him alive through this Avenging Wrath. And if they can stay alive here, if they can just about stabilize, maybe they can take this one, but the shield comes out 2%. He is going to fall, unfortunately, for not well played. I really liked them going for that FMP. It did help them survive a long time, but like you say, unable to get enough CC or damage out, and TROUBLEM take the series in a convincing 3-0.
They had pain suppression for so long at the end of that match. It would have reduced so much damage. So unfortunate. They tried to make the switch. RMP wasn't working. Let's try a Feral Druid instead. Defensively, the Feral Druid looked a lot stronger, but still the same issue. Saintline was not able to get the crowd control that he needs to win in this matchup, and they just weren't able to correct that issue. And ultimately, TROUBLEM will capitalize on that and take the series 3-0.
Yeah, and again, like, of course, CC is one thing we've talked about, but you just have to look at Tanner's damage. We were questioning whether his ult play would be good. Of course, last week he looked very, very good on the rep pad and looking just as good as McQueedy, honestly. Very impressed by him on his ult class. His damage that game was over the entire...
No romantic dates in Kiev later, unfortunately.
Well, you never know. I mean, there's definitely some bromances going on in some of these teams.
Bromances. We're going to go into bromances?
Certainly. And we have some fantastic games. As you can see, the lower bracket, CG and TROUBLEM lock in their spots, but we have to see who they're going to fight against. We have some fantastic series coming up, but you're going to have to wait for that one, because there is a break. Unfortunately, NG Blue versus TYB, Toxic Youth against Joe Fernandez, who got removed from the roster for not